Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today, let's make a gravity ice-dyed shirt. I've prepped the shirt like normal and I have it turned inside out. For this shirt, I'm going to put a couple wavy lines on the shirt and I'm going to tie them with some sinew. So I'm starting by using a washable marker and drawing a couple of wavy lines on the shirt. I'm going to start by fan folding one of the lines and tying it with some sinew. I'm choosing to use sinew because I would like to have a little bit of definition in my lines. Sinew is wax coated, and so the wax coating will help keep some of the dye from going underneath that area and is going to make that line a little more defined. By the way, I have a link down in the description for this video to the sinew that I use. I also have links for several of the other tie-dye items that I use. Once I have the line fan folded, I'm going to wrap it with some sinew. And what I generally do is I wrap the sinew around the line a couple of times and then I pull it tight. Because this line is so long and this fold is so wide, what I'm going to do is after I wrap it around a few times, I'm going to place my hand flat on top of this line and push down as I tighten the sinew. Hopefully that will keep this line from buckling. Sometimes when a line is too long and wide like this, as you pull that sinew, it kind of folds in on itself. When that happens, some of the dye can go underneath that sinew line and stain the rest of the shirt. So even if it did buckle a little bit, I'll have some form of like a definition line, but I'm probably not going to have a white line right there. Which is okay. I mean, I would like to have a white line, but we'll see how it turns out. Now I'm going to go ahead and speed the video up a little bit while I tie this second line. I'm going to fold it and tie it the same way I did the first line. Just as soon as I have this line tied, I'm going to take the shirt outside and apply the dye. So the shirt is still damp. For this shirt, I'm going to use Strong Navy, Plum Port, and Ashes to Ashes. And the Plum Port and Ashes to Ashes are zombie dye colors from 2023. If they're not available anymore, you can purchase them from Tie-Dye Supplies Marketplace, which is a Facebook group. When I did a couple shirts using the Ashes to Ashes and Plum Port, I thought that the color splits on Ashes to Ashes looked very much like Plum Port. And I commented on how I thought those two colors would look really good on a shirt together. So I thought I would try it out. So for my process, I've taken a metal drying rack, placed a piece of vinyl guttering upside down on the rack, and placed the shirt over the top of the vinyl guttering. I'm allowing the other two areas of the shirt to just hang over the sides. That's the part that's going to get gravity dyed. So going in between the two sinew lines, I'm going to apply some Strong Navy. And I don't care if the Strong Navy or the other colors go over the sinew lines a little bit into that other area. Then on one side of the strong navy, I'm going to place plum port, and on the other side, I'm going to place ashes to ashes. I'm applying quite a bit of dye too, because not only do I want to make sure it goes all the way through the shirt, but I want to make sure there's enough dye to travel down both sides of this fold. So I like to do my gravity dyes outside. I do have a dedicated dye space, and I could do them inside, but it can get kind of messy. So if the weather's warm enough, I do like to try to do the gravity dyes outside if at all possible. Now I'm going to add a little bit of additional dry soda ash over the top of the dye, and then add on some ice. I started out by adding on some really large ice cubes, and I kept having a couple of these cubes fall off the shirt. So I came back a few hours later and added on a large round chunk of ice, which stayed on the shirt a lot better. I let all the ice melt, and then I went ahead and left the shirt outside overnight. During the day, the temperature was a little bit above 70 degrees Fahrenheit, but of course, as the sun went down, it started to get colder. I had a little bit of ice that wasn't quite melted on top of the shirt, so even though I knew it was going to get below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I just went ahead and left the shirt outside overnight. I keep mentioning 70 degrees Fahrenheit because the dye really needs to be at a temperature above that to bond properly with the fabric. The next day, all the ice had melted, and it was still a little bit chilly outside. So I went ahead and took the shirt, placed it inside of a plastic tub or tote, and took it inside where it could get nice and warm. Then I left the shirt inside for about 24 more hours. If the weather was warm enough, I would have just left it outside. But by placing it inside of a container and taking it inside, it allowed it to warm up enough for the dye to bond properly with the fabric. Okay, so it's time to start rinsing. And to begin rinsing the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I started rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. Then I'm going to warm the water up to hot and continue rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I'm also going to go ahead and untie the shirt at this point and continue rinsing in hot. So if I went ahead and continued rinsing this shirt in hot water until the water was running almost clear, I would be rinsing a long time, and I don't want to do that. So what I found that works best for me is to just run some really hot water in my utility sink, add a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, place the shirt inside the hot water, and just allow it to soak. When the water cools off, I'll change it out, and I continue that hot water soak until my water remains almost clear. Then I'll put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine, and I'll wash it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed and dried the shirt, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this one turned out really cool. I like the double wavy line. I think that's cool, and I love these colors together. The plum port is the color right up near the neckline, and then the strong navy is the one after it, and the ashes to ashes is on the bottom portion of the shirt. I think they all blend really well together. So there's a couple things about gravity dyes. Whenever I do gravity dyes, I usually end up with some speckling on the shirt. You know, I normally turn almost all my shirts inside out before I dye them to try to avoid some of that. I don't really mind a little bit of speckling, but I get quite a bit of speckling whenever I do gravity dyes. This shirt was turned inside out, and you can see quite a bit of the speckling on the front portion, like the lower part of the shirt, a little bit up near the sleeve. It's just kind of hard for me to avoid this whenever I do gravity dyes. And part of the reason for that is when I apply the dye, a little bit of it kind of falls down onto those areas. And where I live, it's pretty windy, so the wind will blow the dye down into those areas. So if you really are somebody who doesn't like any kind of speckling at all, gravity dye might not be the one for you. It's kind of difficult to avoid. If you remember too, I was a little bit concerned that I wouldn't have a white line where my sinew line went, just simply because I was concerned it would buckle a little bit and not give me that good definition line. And even though my line isn't perfectly white, I still have a really good definition line. The shirt may have buckled a little bit, but not a whole lot. I'm pretty happy with it. So I really like this shirt. I think it turned out looking really cool, but what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.